You're standing at the mirror, you lift your hair with your fingers, and the second you let go, it falls flat against your head again, limp, thin, older than you feel inside. I did that every single morning for years, lifting, letting go, watching it collapse. Here is what I finally learned. Fine hair does not have to look thin. The problem was never your hair. The problem was that you were styling it exactly the way you were quietly taught to, and that way is designed to flatten you. I found 5 things that changed everything. I did not spend a fortune. I did not grow new hair. I used what I already had, and by the end, I looked like I had twice the hair I actually own. And the last secret, the one that finally locked the volume in place all day, I found buried in a grooming habit from the 1960s that almost every woman my age has forgotten. It costs nothing. You already own everything you need. Stay with me, because once you see it, you will never blow dry the old way again. Let me take you back a little. Because I need you to know I am not some stylist who was born with thick hair and perfect timing. I remember a Sunday, maybe 7 years ago now, getting ready for my granddaughter's christening. I had a lovely blue dress, I had good shoes, and I stood in the bathroom for 45 minutes fighting my hair, and it just lay there. Flat on top, thin at the crown, wispy at the ends. I remember catching my reflection in the hallway mirror on the way out and thinking, I look tired. I look like I gave up. And I had not given up. I just did not know what I know now. That day in the church, I saw a woman about my age across the aisle, same gray as mine. But her hair had lift, it had shape. It moved when she turned her head, and I could not stop staring because she looked 10 years younger than me, and I could not work out why. It took me 2 years to figure out what she was doing that I was not, and it turned out to be the very first thing I am going to tell you, because it is the mistake almost every woman over 60 is making, and no one warns you about it. Here is the mistake. We keep our hair too long. I know, that sounds backwards. Because for our whole lives we were told that long hair is young hair, that the day you cut it short is the day you admit you are old. I believed that with my whole heart. I held on to length like it was proof I still had something. But fine hair and length are enemies. Let me explain what is actually happening, because once you understand the physics of it, you cannot unsee it. Each strand of fine hair is thin and light. It has very little structural strength on its own. When you leave that hair long, gravity pulls the whole length straight down, and the weight of those long ends drags the roots down flat against your scalp. The longer it gets, the more it pulls. So the very thing you were keeping for youth was the thing crushing every bit of volume out of the top of your head. I measured it once, out of sheer frustration. When my hair was down past my shoulder blades, I had almost no lift at the crown at all. When I finally cut it to just below my jaw, the difference was not subtle. The hair suddenly had permission to lift. There was body at the root I had not seen in a decade. The magic zone for fine hair is between the jaw and the collarbone. Not shorter unless you truly want a crop. Not longer, no matter how attached you are. Somewhere in that range, the weight comes off the roots, and fine hair springs up like it just remembered how. And here is the part that shocked me most. A good cut in that zone, with soft layers around the crown, gave me the look of far more hair than I had before I cut anything off. I removed hair and appeared to gain it. That is the paradox no one tells you, so I did it. I let a stylist take 4 inches off, and I cried a little in the chair, and then I got home and could not believe the woman in the mirror. But length was only the beginning. Because even with the right cut, I still had days where it fell flat by lunchtime. And that led me to the second discovery, which is so simple and so nearly free that I was almost angry when I understood it. The second secret is your part. The line where you separate your hair. Most of us have parted our hair in exactly the same place for 30, 40, 50 years. Same side, same line, every single day. And over all those years, your hair has been trained. It has learned to lie flat in that direction. The roots along that part have been pressed down for decades, so they lie obediently against your scalp with no lift whatsoever. Here is what I did, and I want you to try it tonight. Take your comb, find your normal part, then part your hair on the opposite side instead. Push it against the direction it has always gone. The first time I did this, my hair practically stood up at the root. Because you are forcing all those strands to fight against 50 years of training, they resist. And that resistance is exactly what creates lift and fullness at the crown, right where we lose it most. It felt strange for about 2 days. My face looked different. My hair kept trying to fall back to its old home. But I combed it back over, again and again, and within a week it held. And the volume it gave me at the top was instant. And it cost me nothing. Not $1, just a comb and a little stubbornness. Now, I want to stop here for a moment because I can feel some of you pulling back. I can hear the thought because I had it too. You are thinking, this is fine for women with money and time and good genes, but my hair is thin and my budget is thin and I do not have a fancy salon on the corner. I hear you. I truly do. And I want you to stay with me. Because everything I am telling you, I did with drugstore products and my own 2 hands at my own bathroom sink. The part trick is free. The cut is a one-time thing. And the biggest secret of all, the one at the end, uses a tool you almost certainly already own and have been using the wrong way. So please do not count yourself out. This was built for exactly you. Because here is something I need you to understand, and this is where I got angry. For years, I was quietly told to fade. Not in those words. No one ever sat me down and said it. But the message was everywhere. Keep it simple. Keep it low maintenance. Do not try too hard at your age. Wear the beige. Choose the sensible cut. Blend into the background where it is safe. And I want to ask you something. Who benefits when we believe that? Think about it. The flat, tired, low-maintenance look does not come from nowhere. It comes from a beauty world that decided, somewhere along the line, that women our age were not worth designing for. They stopped making styling techniques for our hair. They aimed everything at the young, and the advice that trickled down to us was always the same. Cut it all off, keep it easy, do not make a fuss. That advice was not for our benefit, it was for theirs. It is easier to sell one flat haircut to millions of older women than to teach each of us how to actually work with what we have. We were handed invisibility and told it was practicality. I fell for it for years. I wore the flat hair. I wore the beige cardigan. I disappeared into rooms I used to light up. And the whole time, the knowledge of how to look fuller, brighter, more alive was sitting right there. It was just never handed to me. Well, I went and dug it up, and I am handing it to you. And that is really what all of this is about, isn't it? Being seen. But before I go further, I want to share something with you. Because so many women have written to me asking where all of this lives in one place, I put it together in a book. It is called Style Reset, and there is also Refined and Complete Style if you want to go deeper. Everything I discovered about hair, color, what to wear, how to stop fading and start being seen again, it is all in there, written the way I wish someone had written it for me at that christening. You can find the details in the description below. If any part of today has felt like getting something back, the book will feel like getting even more back. Now, back to the third secret. And this one is about the products you are already using and where you are putting them. Which brings me to the third secret. And this one is about the products you are already using and where you are putting them. Because I promise you are putting them in the wrong place. For most of my life, I did what we all do. I squeezed some product into my palms, rubbed my hands together, and smoothed it over the top of my hair and down the lengths. Over the top, down the ends. That is how everyone does it. And that is exactly why fine hair goes flat. When you coat the outside and the ends of fine hair with product, You add weight, you add slickness, you make those already heavy ends heavier, and you smooth down the very surface that should be lifting up. You are essentially gluing your hair to your head. Here is what I learned to do instead. Volume does not live in the lengths. Volume lives at the root. So that is the only place product should go. I take a light mousse, about the size of a golf ball, no more, and I do not touch the top of my hair with it at all. Instead, I part my damp hair into sections, and I work that mousse directly onto the scalp, at the roots, underneath. I lift each section and push the product right where the hair comes out of my head. The lengths and ends stay almost bare. Why underneath? Because the hair you cannot see is what holds up the hair you can. When you build support at the roots, especially the roots underneath the top layer, that hidden hair props up the visible hair like scaffolding. The top layer lies over it and looks thick because it is being held aloft by the volume beneath. There is a whole science to this. Fine hair has fewer strands and thinner strands, so it cannot support itself. But if you lift and support at the base, and you keep the lengths light and free of heavy product, the hair holds a shape it could never hold on its own. It is not about more product. It is about product in the one place that matters and nowhere else. I also discovered dry texture spray and root powder, which I had never even heard of. You dust a tiny bit right at the roots, where your fingers meet your scalp, and it grips the strands together and holds them up off the head. A little goes a very long way. I bought one bottle for about $9, and I am still using the same bottle 2 years later. So now I had the cut, the part, and the product placement. And I looked in the mirror, and my hair had body I had not seen since I was 50. But something was still holding me back. Something around my face. And it had nothing to do with volume, and everything to do with color. Because here is the fourth secret, and I almost missed it entirely. When our hair goes gray, most of us do one of two things. We either color it one flat, solid, all-over shade to cover the gray, or we let it go to a single uniform gray. And both of those, believe it or not, make fine hair look thinner. Here is why. A single, flat, all-over color, whether it is dyed brown or natural gray, has no dimension, no shadow, no light. And when hair has no variation in tone, the eye sees straight through it. Every gap, every thin patch, every bit of scalp shows because there is nothing to break up the surface. Flat color reveals thinness. It exposes exactly what we are trying to hide. But hair that has dimension, lighter pieces and darker pieces woven together tricks the eye completely. The variation creates the illusion of layers, of depth, of far more hair than is actually there. Light and shadow make things look fuller. It is the oldest trick in art, and it works on hair. Now, I did not run out and get expensive highlights. I want to be clear about that. What I learned is that even a small amount of dimension makes an enormous difference. A few lighter pieces around the face. A slightly darker shadow at the root. Just enough contrast so the light catches the hair in different ways. And here is something wonderful for those of us going gray. Gray hair is not one color. Real gray has silver, white, charcoal, and pewter all mixed together, and that natural variation is a gift. If you are going gray, the worst thing you can do is dye it one flat, solid shade. Let the natural dimension of the gray do the work. A good silver, cared for properly, catches light like nothing else, and looks incredibly full. There is another thing about color and our faces that took me years to understand. As we age, our skin loses some of its natural warmth and pigment. The face gets softer, paler, cooler in tone, and when you put a harsh, flat, dark color right up against that softened skin, it drains the face. It makes you look grayer, more tired, older. The hair overpowers what is left of your natural coloring. That is why so many women our age quietly look washed out and blame their skin, when really it is the hair color fighting against them. softening the color around the face, adding a little lightness right where the hair frames your cheeks, lifts the whole face. It gives back the light we lose. It is like turning a lamp on beside your face. I found a shade that worked with my skin instead of against it, with a little dimension worked through it, and I swear people started asking if I had been on holiday. I looked rested. I looked lifted. And it was the hair, not my face, doing the work. So there I was, the cut in the right zone, the part reversed, the product at the roots, the dimension in the color. And I looked better than I had in 15 years. I honestly thought I had learned everything there was to learn, but there was still one problem I could not solve. And it was the one that used to break my heart at the christening all those years ago. The volume would not last. I could create beautiful body in the morning, lift at the crown, fullness at the sides, movement when I turned my head, and by 2 in the afternoon it was gone. Fallen, flat again. All that work collapsed by lunchtime, just like always. I could not understand it. I was doing everything right, and still every afternoon I watched my hair give up. And then I found the last secret, the one I promised you at the beginning. And it changed everything, and it did not cost me a single penny, and I already owned everything I needed. I had just been using it wrong my entire life. Let me tell you where I found it. I have a habit of collecting old things, old books, old magazines, old guides. And I came across a set of women's grooming manuals from the 1950s and 1960s, the kind that were handed to young women teaching them how to set and style their hair at home. And as I read through them, I noticed something those women all did, every single one of them, that we have completely stopped doing. And it is the reason their hair held its shape all day and into the evening, while ours falls flat by noon. Here is the secret. It is not the heat that sets your hair. It is the cooling. Let me say that again, because it is the whole thing. Heat does not lock in volume. Cooling locks in volume. Now, let me explain why. Because once you understand it, you will do this for the rest of your life. Your hair is made of a protein called keratin. And inside that keratin are tiny bonds called hydrogen bonds that hold your hair in whatever shape it is. And when you add heat from a blow dryer or a roller, those bonds break open and your hair becomes soft and moldable. That is why hot hair can be shaped into anything. But here is what almost nobody understands. Those bonds do not reset while the hair is hot. They reset as the hair cools down. The shape your hair is in at the exact moment it cools from warm to cool is the shape it will hold. The cooling is the setting. The cooling is the lock. And here is what we all do wrong. We blow dry our hair, and while it is still warm and soft, we brush it out, we style it, we run our fingers through it, we walk out the door. We shape it while it is hot, and then we let it cool down flat, lying against our heads in motion. So it sets flat every time, all our work undone in the exact moment it should have been locked in. The women in those old manuals did the opposite, and they did it without even knowing the science. They set their hair in rollers. And then, this is the crucial part, they left the rollers in until the hair was completely fully cool. They sat under dryers, then let it cool. They slept in them. They did not touch the shape until it had gone stone cold. And when they finally took the rollers out, the volume was locked in like concrete. It held all day. It held all night. It held into the evening, through dinner, through dancing. They were not doing anything magical. They were simply letting their hair cool in the shape they wanted instead of in the shape gravity wanted. So here is exactly what I do now, and I want you to do it this week. You do not need rollers, though you can use them. You just need to understand the principle and use the tool you already own. When I blow dry, I lift each section of hair up and away from my scalp, up and out, and I dry the roots pointing up, not down. I over-direct the hair away from where it will finally sit, so it has somewhere to fall from. And then, here is the whole secret in one move. Before I let that section go, while it is still warm and lifted, I hit it with the cool button. Almost every blow dryer made in the last 40 years has a cool shot button. That little button you never press. It blasts cool air instead of hot. And that cool air, aimed at your lifted, warm root, sets the bond instantly, right there, in the raised position. The hair cools in the up position, so it stays up. If you do not have that button, even better, do what the 1960s women did. Blow dry your root up and lifted, then clip that lifted section flat to your head with a simple metal clip and leave it. Do your makeup, have your coffee, give it 10 minutes to go completely cool while it is clipped up at the base. Then take the clips out. The root will stand up on its own because it cooled in that shape, and cooling is what set it. The first day I did this, I created my volume in the morning, and then I waited. Lunchtime came, it held. 2 in the afternoon, it held. Evening, still there. I stood in front of the mirror at 9 o'clock at night with the same lift I had put in at 8 in the morning, and I actually laughed out loud alone in my bathroom because it had been that simple the whole time, and no one had ever told me. That is the thing that stays with me. This knowledge is not new. It is not some expensive breakthrough. Women knew this 70 years ago. They did it at home, at their own mirrors, with their own hands. And somewhere along the way, we were taught to blow dry fast and go, to run out the door with hot hair, and we lost it. The knowledge existed, it got pushed aside, and now you have it back. So let me give it to you all together, the way I wish someone had given it to me at that christening. Cut your hair into the zone between your jaw and your collarbone, and take the weight off the roots so fine hair can lift. Change your part to the opposite side, and let the resistance give you free volume at the crown. Put your product only at the roots, underneath, where hidden hair holds up the hair you can see, and keep your lengths light and bare. Add a little dimension to your color, lighter pieces and a softer shade around your face, so light and shadow make your hair look twice as full and turn a lamp on beside your face. And above all, remember the secret those 1960s women never forgot. It is not the heat that sets your hair. It is the cooling. Lift the root, warm it, then cool it in the lifted position, and it will hold all day. Not one of those 5 things requires a new wardrobe. Not one requires a professional or a fortune. The part is free. The cooling is free. The product goes further because you use less. You already own the dryer. You already own the comb. You already own the hair. You were just never shown how to let it stand up and be seen. And that is really what all of this is about, isn't it? Being seen. Because here is what I understand now that I did not understand at that christening 7 years ago. When my hair fell flat, it was not just my hair that disappeared, it was me. I had let myself believe that fading was the graceful thing to do, that taking up less space was somehow more appropriate for a woman my age, and that was the biggest lie of all. You did not earn all these years just to spend them blending into the background. You are not here to be sensible and beige and invisible. The volume in your hair is not vanity. It is a signal to the world and to yourself that you are still here, still vivid, still worth a second look. And you are. I refuse to fade quietly now. I decided that elegance does not have an expiration date, and neither do I, and neither do you. Every morning when I lift that root and hit it with the cool air, it is a tiny act of refusing to disappear. That is what I want for you too. So let me ask you something, and I really do want you to answer me. Of the 5 secrets I shared today, which one surprised you the most? Was it the part on the opposite side? Or was it the cooling secret from those old grooming manuals? Tell me in the comments below. I read them, and I want to know which one you are going to try first. Just type it out and leave it for me. Do not just think it, write it down where I can see it, because it helps me know what to share with you next, and it helps other women find this too. And And if any part of this made you feel like you got something back that was quietly taken from you, then come join us. Subscribe and stand with the rest of the women here who have decided that we are done fading, done disappearing, done dressing like we apologize for still being here. We are reclaiming every bit of the visibility and elegance we were told to give up, because the next thing I want to show you is even bigger. I found the one color mistake that adds 10 years to almost every woman over 60, and it is probably hanging in your closet right now, the color you reach for most. I am going to show you what to wear instead, and why it takes those years right back off. I will see you there. Do not let anyone tell you it is too late to be seen. It never was. And now, finally, you know how. I'm still here with you because you're still here with me, so let me offer you something. Inside the Ageless Elegance circle, I continue this fine hair routine right where it stopped. You can ask me your own questions, and a real person, me, answers you myself. And you're not alone in there. Thousands of stylish women like you already are. Just point your phone's camera at the code on screen. Cancel anytime. One click, no risk. If this helped you feel good about your hair, do stay with me. Subscribe and keep watching, because I have more simple tips right here to help you look and feel your best.